Hey, what is happening, bulls and bears? My name is JJ. You're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. We're back with another dose of economic reality. Let's start right here. This is very, very important, I think. The biggest threat to you when this entire system finally implodes, and it could happen any day. They could drag it out much longer. We do know that historically, when things get overpriced, when there's bubbles, that they do burst at some point. So far, we haven't really seen that. Like many people expected. Many people expected a stock market crash, a housing market crash, automobile sector to crash, meaning falling car prices, falling cost of living, and that's typically what you see when you have massive unemployment. So we haven't gotten there yet. There's not massive unemployment, right? So even the fake manipulated number that's put out there is starting to tick up. The real rate of unemployment is much higher than we're being told, but we haven't seen the spike like we have in previous downturns, including 2008 and 2020, massive unemployment. Of course, the rescue programs came in and gave people more money than they would have had if they would have continued to work. So everything was flipped on its head as far as the cost of living goes in 2020. But the biggest threat when this thing finally comes down, and I'm not saying it's going to come down next month, even next year, but when it comes down, and it could happen overnight, again, our systems are being compromised, like we talked about in our previous report. There's many different episodes of systems being compromised from either a domestic enemy or a foreign enemy. We don't know, but the bottom line is when it goes down, we're going to be in big trouble if we're not prepared. But what is the biggest threat out there? Is it the government? Is it the police? No, it's actually the average person, your neighbor, the person down the road, the pack of people that go in and loot these stores because maybe they don't work, maybe they feel entitled that everything should be free. So do you think those same people, or even the person down the road, your neighbor, etc., are they going to care more about what you have and how good you're doing? Or if they're starving, if they don't have anything to eat, are they going to want what you have, right? And I know this sounds extreme. JJ, you're a financial channel. Why are you talking about this? Because the financial system is being propped up on debt and never-ending borrowing. They had to eliminate the debt ceiling. That should be very alarming to people. Some people hear that and they say, oh, that's great. Now the government, the U.S., now we can pay our bills because we have this unlimited debt ceiling now. We've suspended the ceiling. Great news. No, to me, I think of the opposite. I see that as a sign of danger. Why would they want unlimited debt capabilities? Why would they need that? Also, why are we afraid to raise interest rates, right? I know I repeat some of these things from episode to episode, but we're going to have some new news coming up here. But I want to keep that at the forefront, right? Because what's happening right now doesn't make any sense. It should be very concerning to people that we have the ones running this economy out there basically lying and saying things that do not make any sense, right? So one, we're supposed to have an inflation target at 2%. We haven't achieved that. It's still 4% plus. It did come down from the peak, but it's still way higher than they're supposed to allow. But yet we're pausing the rate hikes, or we're skipping a rate hike, or we skipped it in our last meeting. It doesn't make any sense, right? Shouldn't things at least make sense on what we're being told? Shouldn't 1 + 1 = 2? That should be it, but it's not, right? So something very dark and not good, I think, is happening, and I think most of you will agree. What can we do about it? Well, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But first, a real quick message from our sponsor. This takes about 1 minute, and we'll be right back on the other side with some very important news to get into. Reign in wealth like King Charles with a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments. Just as King Charles's magnificent gold crown symbolizes wealth and power, a gold IRA can fortify your own financial kingdom. Imagine the confidence that comes from a retirement backed by a tangible, proven asset, gold. An asset that's not at the mercy of unpredictable market swings. A gold crown may not be included, but isn't a future free of financial stress a worthy throne? Like royalty, enjoy the luxury of choice. Gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, the realm is yours to command. Fend off concerns about economic downturns and let your wealth thrive with the timeless security of precious metals. This month, the first solid quarter ounce gold standard bullion coin ever issued with King Charles III's image can be yours with your own qualifying gold IRA or 401k rollover of $50,000 or higher. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. Call Noble Gold Investments at 877-646-5347 to get started, or visit bullboomgold.com. That is bullboomgold.com. Link down in the description of this video. All right, let's talk about this for all the people out there, that say that my analysis is wrong or that I'm exaggerating. Some people actually say things are getting better, not worse. Here's another study, and I go through several of these each episode. And this is recent news. This is not, repeating the same thing. I've talked about this topic before, but this is brand new news. A study was just completed this year that involved 150 different entities that house homeless people, where they count the number of homeless people, the number of people that come in. Sometimes they have room for them, sometimes they don't. But this study that was just completed here shows that the year-over-year number in homelessness increased once again, nearly 10%. Nearly 10%. And here's how bad it's getting in San Diego right here. In San Diego, the homelessness crisis is worse than it's ever been before. In just the last 7 months, 580 tons, not pounds, tons of trash has been collected from homeless encampments in the city. When you go downtown now, near Petco Park, you can actually just smell a stench, and it's of homelessness. It's got to be, because I had never smelled this before in years prior. I don't really go to many baseball games, but just walking by there, that area, it stinks. I mean, literally, it stinks. So things are getting worse. The question is, what's going to stop this? What's going to reverse this, right? Nobody can tell me. So far, I've been doing this channel for years, and nobody can really tell me any solutions on how we can reverse it. I mean, I could think of a few things. I think we should convert all of our vacant buildings, commercial buildings, now that we have a ton of them. We have 2 big hotels in San Francisco, and that's a city that really needs a place to house these people. But then if you put them in there, there's just going to be a stink hotel, right? So you've got to have bigger solutions. You've got to get these people off of their addictions. So it's got to be a complete, almost a jail-like situation. It's, crazy to think about it, but that's the extremes that we'll have to go through to fix this. But see, nobody's talking about that. No leaders are talking about that. No lawmakers are talking about that. It's all just print more money. And where does the money go? Well, it goes to the people that are already rich, already wealthy in many cases. I think most of you would agree on that, right? So we all agree, we should agree anyway, with this information and the information that we bring you every day, that things are not likely to start getting better. That's why we need to continue to prepare. Yes, look for investment opportunities. No, don't just stay home and hide under the covers and not ever go out and do anything. Go do things. Spend money. It's just money that they create at the click of a mouse. But just have some emergency goods and funds set aside is all I'm saying here. All right, next, let's talk about these millions, and I said millions, of underwater automobile loans. Negative equity surges. More consumers find themselves underwater on automobile loans. Millions of Americans took out loans purchasing overpriced vehicles. The numbers, folks, are staggering of the number of people, the number of loans rather, people taking out loans worth or a lot more than the vehicle's worth, even though they knew it, because there was this shortage, there was this desperation, there was FOMO, fear of missing out. People thought that vehicle prices were going to go up even higher. FOMO, classic FOMO. The banks participated, but also the borrowers participated. See, we can't just sit here and blame the banks, because without a borrower, the banks couldn't do their deeds, could they? Let's get some numbers out of here. Originating LTVs, that's loan to value, in the first quarter averaged 125%, up from 110% for used cars in the same quarter 1 year ago. In other words, people borrowing on average 1/4 more than the vehicle is actually worth. Now, when people see all these vehicles for sale at a high price, they think, okay, that must be what the vehicle's worth. But you go to try to sell it on the private party market, and you're way below what these dealers are charging. Some people call this greed and price gouging, or you could just look at it as business. If somebody's going to be willing to borrow money to pay these overinflated prices, who's to say that the dealers are wrong for taking the money? All right. If you had a piece of junk car sitting out in front of your house and somebody came and offered you $10,000, are you are you a crook for taking it, or are you just doing the smart thing? And maybe somebody really likes that particular vehicle, even though it may not be running. It's got a bunch of holes in it. It's rusted. It's a 1977 Chevy. I don't know. Pick your. Let's say 1982 Ford. What was that car back then? What were those 80s cars? Ford, not Festiva. Ford Escort. Escort, sorry. 1982 Ford Escort, all rusted out, doesn't run, hole in the gas tank, blown tranny. Somebody's going to offer you $10,000 for it. Are you going to take it? Maybe they've got sentimental value. So, of course, the dealers are going to take the money. So you can't blame the dealers. Who do you blame? The people, partly. So you got to take some accountability, folks, for finding yourself underwater. And I hope not too many people watching this are underwater. And maybe you were so desperate for a vehicle you had to have it to get to work. I understand. And, a lot of people are financially backed into a corner, right? And they feel like they they have to make certain purchases at certain times. There's a lot of fear out there as far as inflation goes, that if you didn't buy a home right now, prices were going to go even higher. And here's an article here. Actually, there are predictions that home prices are going to go up even higher. Take a look at this. Real Estate Roundup out of Yahoo. Home prices won't fall this year, analysts predict. Housing market inventory keeps declining. This is Business Insider. That's bad news for buyers. Americans' housing shortage is keeping home prices high. Housing market continues to lurch as sales drop and prices barely budge. And these are actually facts. I mean, home prices haven't really come down that much. But do these analysts have an incentive for making you think that home prices are not going to fall when actually we could be on the precipice of a very big drop in the housing market, right? Either way, hope everybody's doing well. Please let me know what you're doing down in comments. I continue to keep stacking, of course, both canned goods, survival essentials, silver, at least every month, purchasing silver. I've already allocated a portion of my retirement into hard assets, so just a couple other things that I've done here. Let me know what you're doing, please, down below. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Keep stacking. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.